Good evening, everyone. My name is Greg Slozik, and I am doing my introduction video for EDL 856. I'm making this video from Songdo, South Korea, where I serve as the Theory of Knowledge Coordinator, and I am the head of sport for basketball. So, who am I? Well, again, going back to the reading that we all did for this module, I think the best way to kind of go through and model what we read is to go through it and just give you a brief idea about who I am beyond my title. So I'm an international educator. I firmly believe in the mission of the International Baccalaureate Organization, and I've been working in international education now for 13 years. I'm a global citizen. Originally, I'm from New York State, but I've lived in a myriad of different countries. Worked at 5 different international schools. My wife is Thai. My son is American. He holds an American passport, but could hold a Thai citizenship as well. And I own a house in Thailand. I'll get into that when I talk a little bit more about my background. I'm a teacher of metacognition. I don't teach content. Theory of knowledge as a course is a course about thinking about thinking and reflecting on knowledge. And so my actual teaching job is much more about teaching the future leaders of the world how to think for themselves and how to think about what it is that makes up their thinking. I'm an advocate of holistic education. As you'll see with my background, I have a non-traditional entry into education, and I don't just teach in the classroom. As you'll see, I'm firmly involved in extracurriculars, and the nature of my role at the school obviously demands that I teach to the whole child. I'm a believer in the value of diversity and the power of experiential learning. I think that learning through experience is much better than just learning about things. Some of the greatest life lessons I've had have been outside the classroom, and I think that that's how I approach my job from a philosophical and pedagogical approach. So again, my background, I'm originally from New York State. I have a non-traditional route to where I am today. I first started out playing Division III basketball, and basketball has been a big part of my educational experience personally, and then beyond my college playing career. I've coached varsity boys basketball for almost 15 years now. In 2013, I actually won a national championship when I coached at Chem's World Academy in the United Arab Emirates. I have a BA in history and a Master of Science in education. Both are from SUNY Oswego. Prior to becoming a teacher, after I played basketball, I served for 4 years in the U.S. Navy as a gas turbine electrician. I worked on hovercrafts and had a great experience. Probably where I got the travel bug from being able to go around the world serving my country. I am an examiner for the IBO, and I have served as an educational consultant this past summer. I did a webinar in conjunction with the World Economic Forum to support one of their learning platforms in conjunction with the IBO. Again, 15 years experience internationally. I taught for 4 years in public schools in New York. And so some of the posts that I probably will have will be much more about international education because my experience in public education is very limited. We're currently on year 3 in South Korea. I'm married with one 6-year-old son who we hope will be trilingual. Anthony's mother tongue is English. He's learning Korean, and he speaks some Thai. And actually, when we were in Taiwan, he spoke quite a bit of Chinese. And finally, I have a house in Thailand, which hopefully when COVID's over, I'll be able to go and work on. So my current position and professional goals, I oversee 6 colleagues as the theory of knowledge coordinator and all basketball coaches from grades 6 to 12. I'm in the application phase to be a team leader for the IBO and marking of theory of knowledge essays. So I've been marking those for the IBO for almost a decade now. So I'm moving on to oversee those people who do mark them from around the world. I'm actually co-authoring a section of a book on global citizenship that will hopefully be published, fingers crossed, next year. And I'm completing my admin qualification, obviously, through Fort Hays State. Ultimately, I'd like to be in a senior leadership role at an IB World School in the future. So the 3 forms of communication that we were meant to address, I would say that all 3 are integral to my role. And given the fact that you are in a multilingual, multicultural environment, and the mediums by which you disseminate and get information can be varied and are in South Korea for sure. It's a highly digitized society. You have to really think about how and in what medium your message will be received best. And so I am a strong oral communicator. I am working on becoming trilingual. I have not done a lot with Korean, but I have functional working French and Thai. And so when there are some new students who may come in who speak either of those 2 languages, sometimes I am used in that capacity to kind of give the kids or parents some assistance from time to time. In my role as a mid-level manager, I will lead my team and assemblies. I like to do that orally, and I like to have all the people in the same room so everyone is on the same page. Written, I think the most important and part of my written communication is the informed, formal criterion feedback that I give my students. I used to give numerical feedback, and I've learned being in Taiwan and in Korea that a lot of times the feedback is really taken more as the end sum of the numerical grade, and so you miss the opportunity to take that formative feedback and apply it and become better. And so one of the ways in which I do communicate is by using the criterion and the language of the criterion instead of number grades. And so I have learned in the past 3 or 4 years by making that change, it has made my job a lot easier, and it has helped to ease the stress on kids who kind of can get fixated in a high stakes culture. Digital, we have a school website, and I do have a presence on there. I generally tend to try not to over email. I work for the IBO, and so I have to mark and give feedback and communicate with people through their online portals. And so I actually was pretty well prepped up to do distance learning, and obviously in distance learning, that's been a lot of communication has obviously had to come through the digital because of COVID. So again, just to reiterate, many times I think that language and culture can be a great impediment to high quality communication. So it's really paramount in international education to know which type to use and when in order to effectively communicate and to avoid the cultural faux pas. So how would I introduce myself as a building leader? Well, I would, again, quote Bloor and go beyond your title. I would want to show that, I have a story and that I have a vision, and that my vision of who I am and who the school is and would be something that would be paramount to my first introduction with stakeholders. I would try to exude enthusiasm and passion for the mission of the school and that of the IBO, and that I want to show that I have buy-in and can empathize with stakeholders. And so I do think that the first impression that you make as a building leader is super important, and I would want, again, to not just list out a bunch of facts about myself, but again, tell a story. And those are my references, and thank you for listening.